Have you ever wondered why your friend in Cape Town is grabbing a raincoat while you're enjoying the sunshine in Johannesburg? Well, today, we're going to dig into the science of our daily weather, and we'll take a special look at what makes South Africa's climate so fascinatingly divided.
But first, let's start with you. Just take a second and think about your day. Did the forecast make you pick a different jacket? Or maybe you had to shift your plans around because of the rain. We don't always think about it, but the weather is constantly writing the story of our day.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to crack the difference between weather and climate. Then we'll look at the 4 key ingredients that make up the weather. We'll see how forecasts actually work before we dive into South Africa's really unique rain patterns. And finally, we'll tie it all together and see why this stuff really matters.
All right, let's kick things off with the biggest mix-up of them all, weather versus climate. You hear the words used together all the time, but they're telling 2 totally different stories.
Here's the easiest way to think about it. Weather is like a single snapshot. It's the sun, the wind, the rain that's happening outside your window right this second. But climate? Climate is the whole photo album. It's all those daily snapshots collected over years and years, showing you what a place is typically like. So, to put it simply, weather is what you get, but climate is what you expect.
Okay, so what are these daily weather snapshots actually made of? It really all boils down to 4 key building blocks that scientists measure to figure out what's going on up there in the atmosphere.
First up, the big one, the one we all feel right away, temperature. It's really just a measure of how much energy is in the air, how hot or cold it is. This one number is pretty much the main reason you're either in a t-shirt or a big winter coat. And we measure it, of course, with a thermometer using degrees Celsius. That gives us the numbers you see on the forecast, which we then just describe with simple words like cold, mild, or really, really hot.
All right, next is precipitation. Now that's the fancy, official term for any kind of water, whether it's liquid or frozen, that falls from the clouds. And now it's not just rain. The big 3 are, of course, rain. That's just liquid water drops. Then you've got hail, which are basically little balls of ice that get tossed around inside big thunderstorms. And then there's snow, which is made of these beautiful 6-sided ice crystals that form when it's super cold.
When it comes to rain, we measure how much falls in millimeters using a simple little tool called a rain gauge. But it's also about how it's falling. You know the difference between a sudden, heavy downpour that's over in 5 minutes? That's a shower. And then there's that light, misty rain that just seems to go on forever. We call that drizzle.
Our third building block is wind. And really, it's as simple as it sounds. It's just air on the move. You can't see it, of course, but you can definitely feel it and see what it does, from a gentle breeze making the leaves dance to a powerful gale.
Now, wind has 2 things we care about. First, it's speed, which we measure in kilometers per hour. And second, it's direction. And this is the really important part. A wind is always named for the direction it's coming from. So a northwesterly wind is blowing from the northwest, and it's bringing that air right to you. And finally, our 4th piece of the puzzle is cloud cover. This is just a way of describing how much of the sky is hidden by clouds. And it's a huge deal for how much sun we get, and it's often a big clue that rain might be on the way.
We use pretty simple terms for this. Clear means lots of sun and usually warmer days. Partly cloudy is that mix of sun and shade. And cloudy or overcast, well, that acts like a big blanket over the sky, blocking the sun, but often trapping heat, which can actually make for milder temperatures.
So we have our 4 building blocks: temperature, precipitation, wind, and clouds. But how do we take all that information and turn it into something useful, like the forecast you check on your phone every morning?
Well, this is where meteorologists come in. They're like weather translators. They take all this complicated data and turn it into a weather forecast. They use maps with symbols that everyone understands to give us a quick picture of what to expect, the highs and lows, where the wind's coming from, and of course the big one, whether you're going to need an umbrella or sunglasses.
Okay, now that we've got the basics covered, let's use that knowledge to look at something really specific and incredibly important here: the rain patterns across South Africa.
Right. Here is the single most important thing you need to understand about South Africa's climate. The rain is not spread out evenly, not at all. Where it falls, and maybe even more importantly, when it falls, changes drastically depending on where you are in the country.
You can basically split the country into 3 big rainfall regions. Most of the country gets its rain during the summer, usually from big thunderstorms. Then you have the southwestern corner, which gets its rain in the winter, kind of like the Mediterranean. And then there's this thin little strip along the southern coast that actually gets rain all year long.
And this chart just shows that difference perfectly. I mean, look at the bars for Cape Town. You can see the rainfall goes way up in the winter months. Now just slide your eyes over to Durban, completely the opposite. All their rain comes in the hot summer. It's the same country, but it's like 2 totally different weather worlds, and that changes everything.
We've talked a lot about the science, but let's bring it all back home. Besides just knowing if you need a jacket, why does understanding all this weather stuff actually matter so much?
The weather's influence is just woven into everything we do. It's in the small stuff, right? Like the clothes we pick out in the morning. It's in our social lives. It decides our weekend plans. And it's absolutely critical for our economy, affecting everyone from farmers to pilots. It even shapes where we build our cities and our homes.
And that really brings us full circle, back to where we started. That difference between the daily snapshot and the long-term photo album. We know the album, our climate, is changing. So the really big question for all of us is, what's that going to do to our daily snapshots? How will the weather that you and I experience every single day look different in the years to come? That's something to think about.